Welcome to About Play, where we explore how children play and what it can do for their development. In this episode, we take a look at drawing. Young children engage in drawing and mark making through different stages as they master their skills. To progress to writing, a child needs to have a myriad of experiences to build up muscle control and the cognitive ability to perform this everyday activity that's very familiar to adults. With the help of our knowledgeable teachers, let's take a closer look at what's being learnt through drawing. Here we have Quinn and May drawing together.
So I guess what I like here with Quinn is that he has that skill already to pull the texture off himself, and he also has, I guess, a knowledge of paper, because you see him put his finger in the corner to hold it in place, and then he can move away from it.
I think something else that's quite nice here is that you see May with those real intentional track making, and then you see Quinn sitting there and not necessarily looking at her work, but making those same movements on the page, which is that really nice peer mentoring, that working together.
And it's very clear in the way May is tracing her finger over her drawing. It's the beginning of the story that she's trying to tell.
So when we come back to looking at May after she's done her drawing, and it's quite detailed, it's got different stations in it, she then revisits it with an adult and talks about the story inside it, which is a really nice start of literacy. And so knowing that your marks make a meaning inside it, and that meaning is retained because it's documented on a piece of paper, to then transfer it into then really early literacy stages of drawing a picture and the picture telling the story.
Drawing and mark making can also be a social occasion, with William and Edward having lots of fun together.
You see Edward over there with 2 crayons, and it's that fast movement, like, let's just make marks happen.
But joy, looking at his face.
Yeah, and then you see that slight progression forward in just that slight age difference where William's just got the 1, and it's still that messy mark making, but it's those steps. It's that, crazy 2-hand franticness to that selection of a hand, and then to make those big movements. And then I guess the next step would be to slow the movements down and sort of make them more refined.
But something that's always interesting is that when they do make these marks, it's these connections that children make in knowing that I did this mark, that this space is me making a place in this world. This is my mark, and that's your mark, and our marks together. And that friendship of the bonding between the 2 boys.
And I think something that you see really nice with Edward next is that idea that he's got the crayon, and then he's trying to make the marks onto his hand, but he's unsuccessful because we know that a crayon doesn't make marks. That's that whole idea of, has he had exposure to a texture and has it happened and now he's trying to emulate that with a crayon? Or would it be magical for him to work with chalk and to see that it does transfer, and the excitement and the joy that would bring?
As children build up their muscles and dexterity, they'll begin to explore writing.
And I think it's quite nice to acknowledge that he's writing his name backwards. Everything starts somewhere and progresses, and this is a really common trait that we see in children learning to write, is that they do often represent their names backwards, and in capital letters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting capital letters and lowercase letters mixed up doesn't matter. It's just about practice, exposure, and enjoying it, and enjoying the achievement of being able to write a letter and the letter looking like it does up on the wall or wherever they've seen their name written before. Here's another beautiful pencil grip, holding that pencil, and it's a pen as well. So a pen moves very different on a piece of paper. So again, that experience about using pencils, crayons, textures, everything is so different.
And that idea of holding the paper while you're writing, that's a real skill in itself.
And something I think works well is, and I do it with the children in the preschool, is you give them a clipboard, because it holds it to the table, or you put a piece of sticky tape on the piece of paper so it holds it to the table. So it takes away that frustration of the paper moving and them not being able to do the mark that they want to make. It's like you take away one variable so that then they're successful in the others.
Mark making isn't just about building the skills to be able to write. It's also an opportunity to explore the world of painting and colour.
I think the first thing that really sticks out to me here is these beautiful, intentional strokes that she's making on this paper and how focused her work is. That's truly something that comes from lots of practice.
That she'd done the person, now she's filling in the background and the outside and just careful.
That's a real experienced painter.
And that day they were in love with the colours, weren't they? They were talking about how beautiful the green was, the red was. So this joy of colours and having, being able to experiment with that and having beautiful paint and the texture of the paint going against the paper and the mastering of how to use these brushes.
And that beauty of just painting outside. Often we paint inside at a table with an apron on, but that flexibility of being able to paint outside where colours are more vibrant and you're sort of immersed in that.
Drawing and mark making can happen anywhere. It can be in wet sand at the beach, a box before it goes to recycling, chalk on the pavement, water on cement, or a drawing app on the computer. Through experimentation and support, children will progress through the stages of drawing. Thank you for watching.